Last class, we started with the rights of payments. We discussed the right to lien, that is the legal right of the banker, and the second one, right to set off. Third right of the banker today we'll be discussing is right to appropriate payments. When a customer borrows more than one loan, that is, he owes several debts to the banker and makes insufficient payment to clear all the loans, the question emerges as to which loan account the payment must be appropriated. Now, here we are talking about if one customer has taken two loans or three loans, that is education, personal, or car loan, okay, as such, has taken more than one loan from one single bank, okay, and when he makes loan payment, okay, that is when he's paying his EMI for the loan, he has to tell or instruct the banker, first set of my personal loan or first set of my car loan. He has to instruct the banker. In case he does not instruct, right, then the question will arise which loan to be, the payment has to be appropriated, which loan first. Okay, so it is the right of the customer to direct the banker. Now, if customer does not give any kind of instructions to the banker, then who gets the decision to make appropriation? It is the banker. Banker will decide which loan to be closed first. Now, banker is going to apply a rule called as Clayton case. I repeat, banker will apply a rule called as Clayton case. The rule says first debt, first liquidation. What does the Clayton case rule says? First debt, first liquidation, where the debts have to be cleared in a chronological order. That is, in the order of date and time. Now, according to this Clayton case, banker is going to apportion the payments of the EMI against the first come first serve loan. That is, whichever loan is periodically taken first, right? In 2011, he has taken a loan and then he has taken a loan in the year 2013, right? Now, bank is going to close that loan account which was taken first. That was the loan taken in 2011. That's what Clayton case talks about. Chronological order. That is the first debt, first liquidation. So here is an example. This customer has taken three different loans from the same bank. One loan of rupees 10,000, another loan of 50,000, another loan of 35,000. Now the customer pays an EMI of rupees 25,000 to the bank to clear the loan. Okay, he has just paid the bank 25,000, but he is not instructed whether loan 1 it is against loan 1, 2 or 3. In such a case, bank will have the right. Who will have the right? Bank. The banker will have the right to set off according to the chronological order. Okay, so in this example, he will set off, he will first take that EMI amount and close the loan 1, and the remaining amount he will appropriate to loan number 2, and so on. Got it? So that's about the third right to appropriate payment. Number 4, right to charge interest, commission, incidental charges and commitment charges. So these are the 4 different charges the banker has the right to charge. Banker has an implied right for all the services that he renders to be charged. That can be a message service. Now, whenever you are filling an application form, that is account opening form in the bank, there's always on the top, what kind of services do you require? E-services, passbook, or checkbook, or mobile banking, internet banking. Have you looked at it? In the application form on the top itself, they will ask you. But then, even if they're providing you all these services, they will charge for it. Okay, they will charge for the services they render. The first one is charging of interest. That is, whenever you as a customer borrow loan from the bank, automatically bank will charge an interest rate upon the loan amount. If you're taking a loan of rupees 1 lakh, bank may charge you 8% interest on the loan taken. That's called as charging interest. Number 2, incidental charges. It is levied on inoperated or unremunerated current accounts. Now, out of all the types of accounts we have in the bank, fixed deposit, recurring, savings, one of the most profitable or income generating account for the bank. Let me repeat, the most income generating transactions mostly happens in which account? Current account, because current account is only meant for businesses or companies or traders. This account does not have any kind of limit like deposit limit, withdrawal limit, nothing as such, because we know businesses have a lot of transaction day to day. So current account does not have such any limit. Now here incidental charges is levied when this current account is inoperated. So a company has just opened current account in a particular bank, but that company has not operated that account itself. It's neither deposited, neither withdrawn, neither any transfer of amount, etc. So when the account remains stagnant, that is, there is no remunerations or there is no operations in the current account, then the bank will charge incidental charges on such current account. As I told, only when the current account is operated, that means there is withdrawal, there is deposit, there is transactions, there is transfers of money, etc., bank will generate income. If it is not operated, bank might incur loss. Therefore, it is going to charge some fees called as incidental charges. Third one, charge commission. When does the bank charge commission? Like if their balance is below a stipulated amount or usage of ATM and so on, right? So whenever you're using an ATM, right, you are a customer of Canara Bank, but you're using the ATM of other banks, right? Any kind of ATM services that you enjoy, or the minimum balance you have to maintain in your account is 500 rupees, but then your balance is only 400 rupees, that is below the minimum balance. In such cases, banker can charge commission. Fourth, commitment charges. It is charged as a compensation fee for keeping a line of credit open at a specific time in future. Now this very rarely happens, because if there is a customer who has applied for a loan, okay, and then the person has got the loan sanctioned by the bank also, okay, they have opened a loan account in Mr. A's name, and the amount is being deposited in that loan account. Now Mr. A has to use that amount, yes or no? But what Mr. A has done is he has not used that loan account only, okay, he has not used that money. That way what happens? Bank is going to lose the interest they can earn on that loan amount. Is that clear? Now the same loan, instead of giving to Mr. A, if they have given to some other businesses, they would have withdrawn the amount, used it and started paying EMIs back to the bank. That EMI consists of principal amount plus interest. Okay, so that way bank will earn income. Now here, if it is not utilized, then bank is going to incur a loss. Therefore, bank charges commitment charges on such line of credit. So these are the different rights of the banker. Is that clear to all of you? right to lien, right to set off, right to appropriate payments, and right to charge interest, incidental charges, commission charges, and commitment charges. Moving on to the second part of special relationship between a banker and a customer. It is called as what? Obligations of the banker. Banker is obliged to do certain services for the customer. Until now we saw the rights, okay, they have to do. Now here they're obliged to do it for the customer. Number one is to maintain secrecy. Guys, it's a very important obligation of the banker. It's not just like a moral duty that the banker have to do, but then they're legally bound to keep the affairs of the customer secret. Now Mr. A's account details, how much deposit he has, how much savings he has, how much loan he has taken, he cannot reveal that details to a third person. Okay, because if this the banker, these details if he's going to disclose, then it might harm the customer's reputation, and then customer will in turn question the banker, with whose permission did you disclose the account details of mine. So you will be responsible for my reputation. So he is going to file a case against the banker. Is that clear? So to maintain secrecy is the number one obligation of the banker. Now, when can the banker disclose? There are certain circumstances, even though without the customer's knowledge, okay, banker can disclose the account details. When? Under the compulsion of law. That is, when the court of law, as I just told you, right, we discussed last class about garnishee order. That means the court of law has the rights to stop the transaction from a particular account by passing an order called as garnishee order. Okay, now court of course is the third person, but yet the bank can reveal the details about a customer when it is a compulsion of the law of court. When is the second circumstance? Under banking practices. That means now every time you're opening a bank account and you have taken a loan, okay, and let's say you have repaid the loan account. That's good. You get a good credit rating. Now, problem arises when a customer does not repay the loan amount. Okay, now that becomes a non-performing asset for the banker, because that loan amount is supposed to fetch interest to the bank. When he is not paying, that means bank is losing. Therefore, bank a certain, let's say, SBI bank customer has duped the bank by not paying the loan amount back. So immediately SBI bank will take the next step further in alerting other fellow bankers. Okay, so it can talk to Canara Bank, or it can talk to Syndicate Bank or Vijaya Bank, etc., and alert other banks. So customer details, this is the customer's details, name, age, address, or when he has taken the loan, etc. With the same details, if the customer approaches your bank, do not give him loan or do not sanction him loan. Is that clear? So here, why am I disclosing the customer details to the other banker? For the sake of banking practices. Okay, it is the utmost obligation of the banker, okay, to generate income on the loan given. Number 3, for protecting the national interest, right? That is definitely in terms of national interest, means in case there's a person who is illegally transferring money, or for the sake of the country's protection, right? If the country needs a person's complete details, all his banking history, okay, let's say he's having some criminal records, definitely bank has to disclose the details in such situation. Fourth, for protecting bank's own interest, that means to alert or to make sure if I continue to encourage such people who do not pay back the loan, who will be at loss? Bank will be at loss. So, in order to protect my own interest, that is the banker's reputation. Okay. Now, if I keep whenever the bank has to submit details as such as every day it has to update its details to RBI, and also whenever it is filing its financial statements, there will be a item on the balance sheet called as NPA, that is non-performing asset. Okay, that means it has to maximum reduce the NPA amount. When the NPA amount is increasing, it shows bank's inefficiency. In what? In recovering the loan amount given. I repeat, when NPA increases, it shows bank's inefficiency in recovering the loan amount given. So to protect bank's own interest, sometimes bank has to reveal the customer's detail. So these are the 4 different situations. Next, under express or implied consent of the customer. So when are the other situations banks can disclose? When the customer himself gives consent. When so and so person comes and asks the details for my account, please provide him the details. Customer himself has given the consent. Okay, either by express or either by implied. Next one is to provide proper accounts. That is another obligation of the banker is to provide proper accounts. That means every time the customer is depositing, every time the customer is withdrawing the amount, or there is an online transfer, etc. All these transaction details have to be properly accounted. The next obligation of the banker is to honor check. Okay, to honor check. Every time a check is issued in the name of customer, banker has to honor the check. That is another important obligation of the banker. Then, to receive checks and other instruments for collection, such as bill of exchange, okay, or any kind of demand draft that is issued in the customer's name. Now, the customer doesn't mean an individual person like you and me. Customer also means a company. Customer also means a partnership firm. Okay, to receive checks and other instruments for collection. Next, to give a reasonable notice or error while closing the customer's account. That means in case the account is inoperative. You know, right? When our account, we are not at all operating, right? For a couple of months or years, I'm not operated the account. The banker will close that account. Okay. So one of the obligation of the banker before closing that account is to inform the customer that if you are continuing to inoperate, I am going to close down your account. So banker has to inform the customer in such case. So we have completed with the part A, that is rights of the banker and all the obligations of the banker.